Everybody mute.
Everybody mute.
Good evening. Welcome to Affinity for Love. I am your host and your coach, Kesey Monique, Affinity for Love wife coach and business coach for boss ladies and stilettos. So, I just want to talk a little bit about my vision and the reason why I wanted to bring awareness to the sector of relationships. So, relationships was always something that was difficult for me to conquer. And it seemed like wherever I turned, even when it came to family, I've really struggled tremendously. I had the most difficult time, and it just seemed like nothing was ever working. No matter how hard I did it, no matter how hard I tried, from my mother to my father, siblings, friends, and even romantic relationships, nothing ever worked. And so as I grew older, of course, like a lot of people, you don't want to grow old by yourself, right? So what ended up happening is I started dating a young man. And I wrote a book about my experiences before I met my husband. And the book is called The Day I Met My Boaz. And so this gentleman, he was everything that I didn't want, but I ended up settling. And this is no pun to him. So you'll if you read the book, you'll see where I had to take ownership of my actions. And so um one of the things is I realized that I settled and I compromised. And there was a day where I literally said, okay, Lord, something's not right. So the Holy Spirit told me, get up out of here. And I did not move. And so out of my disobedience, I had to be made a believer thereof. And I ran to counsel. I ran to the Lord, and it was like a very repentant heart. And so after I looked at everything, I literally had to take ownership of this. And so out of that came this here event. And that's the short end of it, but there's of course more to it. But I feel like we as people need to take time to really invest in ourselves to build the relationship we desire. So that is why we have this new event, Affinity for Love. So right now, what we're going to do is take a moment to do the meet and greet. So again, I am Kesey Monique. I am the Affinity for Love wife coach, and I am also the business coach for Boss Ladies in Stilettos.
All right. I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Terrell Duckworth, Air Force veteran, now retired after 23 years. Now I actually work with a company a lot more than I used to when I did have a uniform on. And the name of this company is actually called Legal Shield. And what we do is we actually help protect families and small businesses from legal vice to identity theft. We do a lot of things to help keep families together, make better decisions. Because I'm pretty sure you agree with me. A lot of decisions we make ends up hitting on the legal side. We just don't look at it that way. From contracts we review to companies we deal with to people making us mad. Here's where I tell people simply like this: if it comes down to you saying, "Hey, I need to talk to the manager," that means you've had a legal problem. Or from a company standpoint, dealing with distributors or whatever case may have you. And as I close up, we have different divisions you can work with. We have our Ladies of Justice division that is women empowering women. And we also have our small business division, which I just kind of spoke about a little bit. We have a Spanish division, our truck division, and then division dealing with HR managers and employee benefits. So again, my name is Terrell Duckworth with Legal Shield, and I'm just one of the panelists. So I turn it over to the next person.
So now we're going to have the very next panelist.
I'll turn it over to Tony. How about that? That's where we go.
All right. I was trying to let the ladies go first. That's fine. Um, Tony Gallimore. I work in IT and AV, audio video. Um, Entrepreneur at heart. Christian, man of God, relationship counseling, um, life counseling. Anything that God asks me to do, I'm there. I'm simply a servant, and I do community ministry. That's about it.
Ladies, you're up.
Okay, I'll go ahead and go. Hello, I'm Jessica Bowie. I am an entrepreneur, a mother of three, high school business teacher, motivational speaker, an author, notary public, and I'm like Tony. Anything that God tells me to do, I always say yes to it.
Awesome. Last but not least.
Tamara.
Good evening, everybody. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. My name is Tamara McGirt. I am a mom of a 4.5-year-old, so y'all please pray for me. I am an entrepreneur. I too am also a life coach, which I do right now, but more so pro bono. I'm also, I just started actually Time After Time, which is on Facebook. And so go back. And so yeah, like I said, I'm a mom. I'm also a painter. I love painting. I'm getting into prophetic painting, so that's something that I love to do. I'm a believer, a woman of God, and I'm just happy to be on today.
Awesome. And so now we'll meet the rest of the coaches. So Stacy, you want to go first?
Well, I thought I'll just, go last. I was going to be nice. But, since you brought it up, hello, 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 everyone. I am Coach Stacy Young. I am a transitional life and confidence coach. I am super passionate for people. I'm an educator by trade, cosmetologist, licensed esthetician. I got a lot going on. But I love being here for the people. You will hear me say all the time, I'm here for the people because I believe in serving others. That's what we're here for. That's what I'm passionate about, helping people, guiding them through being their GPS, helping them build their confidence muscle. That's what I am about. So I hope this blesses you all and just sit back and relax. It's about to go down, y'all.
Dave, you can take the floor next.
Oh, okay. I was going to let another lady go, but that's quite all right. That's quite all right. Hey, everyone. My name is Dave Jenkins. So excited and honored to be here with you. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Coach Dave Jenkins. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, husband to one wonderful woman. We've been dating each other for the last 42 years, father of two daughters, granddad of three, and a life and marriage coach to many. I help couples to transform their relationship breakdowns into relationship breakthroughs. And to me, marriage is a very personal thing. I come from a background where in my family, no one remained married over 6 years. That meant my father, my grandfather, and his father. So there was this legacy of brokenness. And so when I met my wife, I decided by the grace of God that I'm going to break that chain. I'm going to break that legacy. And so 42 years later and counting, we're still together. But what I do is I learn as much as I can about relationships. And relationships are a two-way thing. Yeah, you want to learn about the other person, but you got to know something about yourself. You got to know who you are in Christ, what makes you tick and what makes them talk. You got to work on the whole package if you're going to really have a fruitful, loving, fulfilling, hot marriage. So that's what I help my clients to do.
Awesome. So now I am Janelle Jones, self love and abundance coach. I am not a relationship coach, but a self love and abundance coach. Abundance comes in so many forms that I'm not even going to go there. So I'll leave it to self love. And with that being said, is it okay, Kesey, if I go ahead and transition us out?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, what I want to do right now is allow everyone to take the time right now to grab your pens, get situated, get you some water, take your shoes off because I'm about to take mine off. And we're going to listen to something to kind of just like calm the energies of where you just come from to get us ready to receive what it is that we're supposed to get. I'm a firm believer if you have done this many times, I trust and believe you're going to get at least one valuable tool. So I'm going to play this song. Let me know if you can hear it. If it's too loud, let me know because you know how technology is. I'm not that person that does the tech world. But we're going to listen to this, get our papers together, tag people, share, share, share. And it's about 5, 7 minutes. Okay. Are you able to hear it?
Yes.
Awesome. So just listen to the words, tag people, and get ready to receive what you're supposed to. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and cut that short because of timing. But I know you're probably wondering why that song. I am everything that I truly want to be. Not all of us are going to believe that wholeheartedly. Personal experience, I know I have. I'm not the only one. A lot of times you hear the mask story. Everybody puts on a mask and we need to remove it. That allows you to do that. So, when it comes to self love, I am going to tap into the inner healing part. We all have areas that we need to heal from, truly heal from. And in order to get that relationship, because that's what we're talking about, affinity of love, even if you're married, affinity to get reacquainted in that love space, right? We need to touch on that inner healing. And I'm looking at my notes. So there's 5 principles to inner healing. The first one is going to be that we all have been broken. If you're over a certain age, we all dated. We've all been through relationships, right? And we've all been broken. And it starts from the very beginning, all the way back from when you were probably in the womb. You know what I'm saying? And then the second principle is going to be the heartbroken response, the response that has happened in the past, right? The third one is going to be our reaction to the brokenness, to those events that took place. Those things hold us in bondage. Those things hold us from a space of meeting that actual individual at times. Number 4, the principle is going to be the present of difficulties after triggered past pains. Now, I know everyone has experienced a past pain. It reminded you of somebody, or they looked at a certain way, that cologne, that perfume, that walk, that hair, it does not matter. It triggered and it stopped you from moving forward. So that's where the whole self-love comes from. We have to remember that it's ourselves that are keeping us stagnated where we are. And so the fifth one is going to be the life-changing truth can be known in the experience. You have to communicate with God on a whole supernatural level, meaning you want to actually sit there and meditate. Have a conversation with God like He's your friend. Just how I'm talking to you, I talk to God like that. Sometimes we get really, really, um, I guess, churchy, religious. I was that. I tried that. It didn't work for me. So don't be afraid. So that I just wanted to open up with that self-love piece and to know that we all have areas that we need to work on. So before we can expect someone else and to receive what it is, make sure you work on yourself. And I'll hand it back to Kesey.
That was amazing. That was amazing. So we did the meet and greet. We did the intro with Janelle. And so right now, what we're going to get into is just I want each of the panelists to take a moment to really discuss some of the relationship aspects that they have experienced, um, and what drove you to the point of basically where you are today in your singleness, or in Terrell's case, in his marriage.
Ladies first.
Tamara, are you
Tamara,
are you
yeah,
muted?
it's different stuff popping up. Okay, I can go. That's
Okay.
fine. So I want to make sure I understood what you were saying. You just basically want me to talk about past relationship experience and why I'm where I am today,
Right.
correct?
How did you
Right.
arrive
How
where
did you
you are
arrive
today?
where you are today? Okay. Well, again, I'm Tamara McGirt. I'm young. I consider myself young. I'm 31. I'll be 32 next month, Lord willing. And so like I said, I have a 4-year-old daughter. She'll be 5 in June. And so, but she is the result. Well, excuse me, not a result, but I had her. I was married before, and so I have experienced a divorce. I got married in 2015. And shortly after, without going into the long drawn out story, I was about two weeks away from having her, when her dad set me down and said he didn't want to be married anymore. And so at that point, that wasn't the first time that we'd actually had that kind of conversation. But because I was so close to my due date, I was like, well, when you get back tomorrow, I won't be here. And so um, there were some things that happened transpired after that. I did leave that next day. I lived in Greensboro, North Carolina at the time, and so I was 6 hours away from home, from family, all that kind of stuff. And so my parents actually came and got me and helped me get my stuff because I couldn't do anything. I was 9 months pregnant, and so when I make a long story short, when we let's see, she was about almost 6 months old when I, on my own accord, decided to move back, after praying and asking God, like, what should I do? And He'd shown me what I should have done in a dream, and I still chose to go back. And so that was about 2.5 months of hell yet again. And so, and that was just my desire because I wanted my marriage. I wanted my family to be together. I wanted, I didn't want to go through a divorce, all that kind of stuff. And so, I came back to Georgia in January, late January, for a conference. And while I was, my daughter and I were there in Georgia. And so while we were, excuse me, here rather. So while we were here, he basically was like, well, I don't think you should come back. So at that point, I was just like, well, it is what it is. And so, unfortunately, the divorce process really took longer, it seemed like, than we were actually married. But Nonetheless, it was a lot to encounter and actually experience. And so I, like I said, after going through that and going through the, the postpartum depression and going through just the rage and the all this other kind of stuff that you can think of, I really got to a place where I was just like, God, I'm gonna wait, whoever the man is that God has for me. Like, so that's where I am right now. um my thing is, I'm just gonna wait. I shared a story on one of my lives, maybe like a week or so ago, how I said that I was not gonna give my phone number out once I changed my phone number last year. I was like, I'm not giving nobody else my phone number unless it's the man that God has for me. Because it's a lot to have to go through, experience that. And of course, I've had encounters prior to that, but for me, that was the most devastating, I would say. But I'm at a place now where I see God is truly giving me beauty for ashes. And so, does that answer the question? I don't want to be too long winded. Okay. Okay.
So I have a question for
So
you.
I have a question for you. Yes, ma'am.
So how do you
So
know
how do you know
who the man is that
who
God?
the man is that God? How do I know?
Yes.
Yes. Well, for me, it comes through prayer. Like I have to say before God, because let's just be for real. Like, the devil's gonna send counterfeits. And so I really have to be before God and be like, God, I don't know. Cause like, and I share one of my lives. I do have a guy friend now or whatever. And so one of my things is, and he and I talked about this, like, no, I'm gonna pray. I need to know, I need to make sure I know. So it comes through prayer, through fasting. I have spiritual parents that, I can talk to, and they even, pulled us aside and was like, look, y'all need to, make sure you're focused, basically focusing on ourselves and where God has us right now, without moving too fast and stuff like that. So it's a lot of different things. That's a good question.
Let me tell you
Let
why
me
I
tell you
asked
why
that question.
I asked that question. Okay.
And don't y'all
And
laugh,
don't y'all
Janelle.
laugh, Danielle. Oh, this is a
Too
hot
late.
seat.
Too late. Too late.
Too late.
Let me tell you why I
Let me
asked that
tell you why
question.
I asked that question. Okay.
Okay, I've been doing
Okay. I've
research
been
on
doing
this for
research
quite
on this for
a year.
quite a year. Mm-hmm.
One of the things
One
that
of
I
the things that I
discovered
discovered
is
is
a lot of
a
times,
lot of times.
yes, there is an echo.
Yes, there is an echo.
Okay, Tamara,
Okay, Tamara, can you
um,
I'll mute.
yeah, okay. So one of the things I've learned is that oftentimes we're told, especially as women, by people in the church, wait on God to send you a man, right? And so I've asked this question. I've asked this question. If this man shows up at your door and says to you, hey, I'm the man that God sent to you, will you know that it's him? Will you know in your heart? And the reason I ask this question is because people will have us sitting and waiting, and we don't use our ability to choose. Now, check this out. Check this out. Uncle Dr. Miles Monroe. He did a message back in 2005. I've never heard this message until like week before last. No lie. I've been saying this since we started our podcast back in September. You don't you don't necessarily wait on God to send you a man. Yes, you should be in a prep time, right? In the meantime, while you're prepping, you have the ability to say, you know what? I like this person. I want to see where this can go. Or I'm just going to date for a little while and I'm going to learn and I'm going to teach. Not saying that you're dating because you want to sleep with these fellas, but now listen, check it out. When God made Adam, right? He gave Adam the ability to name all the creatures. You know, there was two of each. They each had someone. Everyone had someone except Adam, right? Even in that, when God made Eve, when he put Adam to sleep and he took that rib and he conformed and he created and he molded and he made her in from the voice of a man fine as wine, right? Adam still had the ability to say, I don't want that. You see what I'm saying? Or he could say, wow, Lord, And what did he say? He said, "That's bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh." He was feeling her and he wanted her. He liked what he saw. So, and I get it. And this is no disrespect to your spiritual parents or anything like that, but at the same time, search the scriptures. There was an option. God has given us the ability to choose. Now, if God doesn't force us to be in relationship with him, and he is the almighty, the absolute, the I am, he is Jehovah, the everything. Now, if he doesn't force us to be in relationship with him, where do you think this male order groom is gonna come from? Food for thought. I just want you to think about it, because if you're dating somebody and you like this person and y'all wanna, progress, don't get stuck with I ain't heard from God, because you have the ability to choose. God gives us that option, and He's not gonna send you to hell because you choose to be with someone. What I suggest is in doing the work for yourself. Yes, stay in counsel. Make sure if you need a therapist, get a therapist. If you need a psychologist, get a psychiatrist or psychologist. At the same time, there's coaches, and sometimes you got to get someone out of the realm who knows you, so they have nothing to lose by telling you the exact truth. You follow me? And I'm not, don't think I'm trying to put you on the spot. I'm not doing that. But I just want you to hear I just want you to hear where I'm coming from on that. And I've heard women over the years, it was said to me, wait on God to send you a man. So I'm thinking, okay, wait on God to send you a man. And then what happened was I started settling because I'm waiting and I don't know what to do. What am I doing? And so in whatever I was doing, I was like, okay, well, sister, getting a little lonely. Okay, God, could this be you? And I'm like, I've been married before and I settled. And it is no pun intended to my ex-husband. He was just who he was. I was the one that needed to wait and evaluate and set that 80-20 rule and get my business in order. That's what you're doing when you're waiting, getting yourself in order, making sure your credit is straight, making sure you got something to bring to the table, making sure your affairs are all in order, so when y'all come together, you can have these things. And if he don't have his stuff in order, if that's something you want to help him work on, great. If it's not, then move on to the next one. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes just because it look good don't mean it is good. And sometimes the one that we don't want may be the one that's best for us. So I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to. Y'all know that's a sensitive area for me.
You're fine. Can I interject right here?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And again, this is a hot seat, so I'm just trying to. I'm put on the spot, but it's fine. Honestly, for me, and I think I did say I was waiting on God, but I'm also waiting in God, and so just like you were just saying, like making sure I have my affairs and things like that together. Like that's exactly what I'm doing, And even when the guy friend that I have now, even when I met him, it was no intention whatsoever of, oh, I like you. Like we were both like, this is awkward. But my thing is too, I know I have the ability to choose, but I also want to make sure that I'm waiting on God and in God, so that when I do connect with whoever it is that God has for me, that it's because there's purpose and there's destiny, not just because I like him and he's cute and smell good.
Right.
And so so I agree with what you said. But so for me, and one of the things, and I'll be honest, and I'm gonna let somebody else go. But one of the things that happened when I did meet him was, again, I said I was not going to give my number out. Well, we had met through ministry, and he had messaged me and was like, can I give you he's like, can I give you a call, because I was trying to make it to his church for something, and so he's like, can I give you a call? And I was like, and I, not even thinking, just sent him my number. And there were like other things that have happened that have transpired since then, but like not even thinking, like I just like sent him my phone number or whatever. And so I don't know. Like I said, this is good conversation, because it's really making me like, like think like, well, dang, is this and that, And so like I said, so I'm not just waiting on God, though I'm waiting in God. And like you said, just making sure that, I have myself together, my stuff together, and that I'm completely healed and all that kind of stuff. But then also, like I said, I am still waiting in God and on God, because I want to make sure that whoever the man is that God has for me, that it's because there's purpose and there's destiny, and not just because we feel in each other. So,
I'm
so
I'm
yeah.
gonna make sure
I'm gonna make sure
that podcast.
that podcast. What's that?
I said I'm gonna make
I
sure
said I'm gonna
to get
make
to
sure
that
to get to
podcast.
that podcast. Okay.
Miss Jester,
Yes, ma'am.
your turn. So let's talk about what brought you to this point. Were you ever married before?
Yes, I've been married and divorced and married again. And actually lost. So I've done all the stages.
Okay.
And then I actually opened my heart back up and for a relationship and thought he was the prince and on the horse, and turned out to be a whole lie. So I went through a engagement and then found out there was a whole lie, and so my heart got broken again and went through some stuff, and God had to heal me again. So I do agree with what she was saying. I am in a place, in a position right now where I'm not just waiting on God, I'm waiting in God, and knowing that love is a choice, but also understanding that I'm waited. So we as women are wait because we're a rib.
Absolutely.
So to be able to wait on God and have discernment to make sure that I'm the right rib that fits in the right rib cage, so I can
Yes.
rest. So my
Yes.
favor,
I like
so my
that.
favor can exude out
Yes.
all over him and cover it.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay, Tony.
Yes, ma'am. Um, so I kind of forgot the question again. It was just basically what got me to this point. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Um, wow. Um, it's a lot to say, but I'm going to put it in a nutshell, and I'll be happy to expound on anything that anybody wants me to. For starters, growing up at a young age and not having any real examples of what true love is, how to love, self-love, something that was mentioned earlier. All that stuff sent me into my young adult life with, I guess, a uh, tainted view on what love, lust, relationship, all that stuff was. Couple that with male, I guess, they say that women mature faster than men. So couple that with male immaturity and not making the right decisions at a younger age. So to fast forward, I was blessed to learn at a younger age to not do the best you can, not to keep repeating, because we know the definition of repeating the same thing and expecting a different result is insanity. So as I began to try to grow from every experience, every bad decision, I believe that's where God stepped in and started to use me. Counseling wise, I've never been married. Have been in several relationships, but never married. But he dealt with me on. I had worked, I built a house and everything, and he just worked with me for a while on do not judge. And I've never been one to judge people. I don't hold grudges. I grew up in the projects where you fight 5 minutes later, you're playing basketball or something, and I didn't understand what he meant at that time. But what he had started doing was sending me people. And when he was sending me people, of course, they were telling me stuff, and you would think that you would remember what they were telling you. But in the moment, I remembered it. But after I prayed on it and walked away, I didn't. And so as I guess he began to see that he could trust me to listen. Not only, it wasn't always just talking. Sometimes it was just listening to people or pointing them in the right direction and being patient enough to wait for God to give me a word for them in that season. And as I matured in those areas, he just began to bring more and more people. And it went from marriages to relationships to um, suicide to, you know, homosexual, anything that anybody was dealing with, he was bringing it to me. And so, of course, I'm thinking, okay, God, I'm doing this work for you. I would love a mate. I think I'm ready. Well, I didn't say I thought I was ready. I said I'm ready. Why, you know, where's my mate? I'm doing what you asked me to do the right way. Um, you know, abstaining and everything. And he simply just said to me, just like I'm in, you know, an audible voice like this, like, what if she's ready and you're not? And that's very humbling when you think that you have all things in place, credit, the house, cars, the drive, you're doing ministry. But one thing that he showed me in that season was the one person that I knew that I wanted to marry, but I was just too immature to take that step at the time was I had put her on a pedestal and God wasn't anywhere in that picture. Even though I was willing to step out and show her and show the world how a true husband should love and not cheat, God wasn't in my equation at that point. It was all about her, 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 and what everybody else would see. And that was very humbling. What I learned at that time was nobody takes God's place. Nobody. He's always at the throne of your heart, and then everything else is added. And so, fast forward to now, I'm just to a point to where, um, you know, it's been said in the chat
Oh my God.
that when you wait, you think about people at a restaurant. They're called waiters and waitresses, and waiting means to actually be working. You know, you're doing something while you're waiting. So I believe I can't remember if it was Keith or whatever said something like you know, you're working on yourself. That never stops. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what level you get to. It's always something in you can fix. And you know, that's something to all of us. Instead of looking outside all the time, we need to look inside and figure out what it is. And I actually, any female that I began to find interest in, the one thing I tell them is, I will be the same person I am a year from today, only better, right? So you're not meeting a representative, you're meeting who I am up front. And the integrity that I bring to the table, the love, heart that I bring to the table, all that stuff I bring is who I am, so that you can make an informed decision and we don't waste each other's time. And then all you got to know is that every day, every second, I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be a better listener, a better father, a better entrepreneur, a better Christian, a better brother, a better helper, a better giver. And so to that point, I end up being on panel discussions and in some very good, close conferences with married people, single people, people that are engaged. And, you know, I have to not let that blood be on my hands. So I'm the one that's going to ask the tough questions, because at the end of the day, I don't really care how you feel about me or what you say. I'm accountable to how I love you and not to how you respond to me. And I believe anything I say is out of the love of God, because I have to learn how to say it to people and for them to receive it. Because you can be saying the right thing, but if they can't receive it, it didn't help. If you bring it the wrong way or in the wrong environment or attitude, they won't receive it. And so my ultimate job is to be the representation of Jesus on the earth, because you may be the only Jesus that somebody sees, and they may not be able to talk to somebody that's close to them. So in doing that, he's put me in several panel discussions. He's put me with people that he needs me to talk to, and that's where I am today.
All right. All right. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. I guess I'll go ahead and answer the questions so we can get these panelists in. Or do you guys want to do an introduction real quick before I start?
You can go
I
ahead.
think Reba, it'll be good to have you go ahead and do your introduction now. What about that? And then we'll come back to Terrell with his question. Good flow, Terrell.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Reva Norris Jackson. I am the CEO and founder of Wave Global Academy Incorporated. We have a new virtual preschool. We are an educational organization that focuses on the development of grades 6 through 12 students and families. And pretty much build them up to be global citizens. There's different facets there. I also have a Wave Global consulting firm because I am a vision slash business development coach. And that's how I just do so much. But more importantly, I'm here because, like I said, I'm a vision coach and I'm also a newlywed with just a little over 2 years under my belt. So I'm by no means an expert, but I'm glad to be here with you all today. Thank you.
Well, great, great. And now that you got the mic, go ahead and keep the mic and answer the question that's on the floor. The mic is all yours.
I mean, okay. Since you begged me, no, but thank you, sir, for the gracious giving me the floor. But like I said, I've just been married a little bit over 2 years. I am like my brother in arms over there, Terrell. I'm a Navy veteran. I spent some time on deployments, and so in those lived experiences that I was graced to go through and blessed to come out of, like live through them, not get stuck there. I kind of developed. Well, I'm just gonna be real with y'all. I had a bitterness towards relationships, and especially marriage. And it wasn't like that I'm angry at God because I got my heart broken. It was more so like me and God are here, but you're a man of God, you can keep way over there. You know what I mean? Like, and it seemed like Miss Kissy was saying, Auntie Kissy, I call her, was saying, like in church they ingrain in young women to wait on the man of God, you know. And it wasn't that I was tired of waiting, it was just that all of the Ishmaels, you know, that came, I was burnt out for Isaac. I didn't care about Isaac. I was like, I'm sure he gonna come and finish him, send him right on back, you know? So it was more so for me, I had gotten to a place of my heart being broken. And literally, I'm not gonna lie, I was bitter and there was resentment. And the anger eventually turned to this indifference because it got like it was the, you know, man bashing, but it progressed and it evolved past that. Like, okay, let's be logical. All men are not the same. All men are not horrible. And a lot of those mistakes were me. You know, like we got to be real. Women like to say this man is this and this man is that, but the truth is, Reefa was a hot mess. Okay, I can say that. And it got to a place where I really finally just became this woman who's like, okay, God, I know my disobedience has caused a lot of this heartbreak. Let's just be real. But I am going to submit wholeheartedly. Whatever God wants me to do, wherever he wants me to go, I'm going to go, but I'm going to do it single. And it got to a place of where it was like, yes, God, I submit. Yes, God, I surrender. Yes, God, heal me. Don't touch that broken heart. But you can use me. Just use me single. Send me, Lord. You know, if you need me, here I am. You know what I mean? But if you send this man, I'm sending him back. And literally, so I spent a 7 year, it's so funny, the number 7. I believe in, you know, symbolic numbers. Because my husband, y'all, I'm married after all of that. He also was single for 7 years, ironically. And so when we met, it was like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. Okay, bye. You know, like he nice or whatever. You know, I just wasn't, and it wasn't like one of those like snubbing somebody. It was just like, oh, you're really genuinely nice. Okay, great. Have a good life. I'm going home, you know. And I went to this conference and I was praying. And like I said, it was one of those things like how you surrender, but you surrender on your terms. And that's not, you know, you don't tell God how he can use you. He's God. You didn't create yourself, right? I ramble, so I'm hurry up. But it was really significant to how I got to this place. I'm gonna tell you the story. I went to a fire conference in Chicago, All Nations Worship Assembly in Chicago, and Apostle Matthew Stevenson was up and he was prophesying and he's like speaking over the people. And, you know, I was like, it's time to get healed. It's time to be free. And I lifted my hands and I'm not even lying to you. And you know how you get that like crying and, oh, yes, God, I'm so sorry. Forgive me, Lord. And you just start saying yes and yes, God, and yes, God, and yes, that, and yes, that. And he said, and God is sending that husband. And I promise y'all, I put my hands just like this. I was like, yeah. Like that worship dried up. I'm not lying. Them tears were like, wait a minute. Well, maybe he talked to the lady behind me because that ain't the word of God for my life. I know he prophetic, he an apostle, but he ain't talking to me. So I promise you, immediately, it sounds crazy, and I promise y'all, this is my energy all the time. But something in me, I could feel it, like the resistance build back up, and it shocked me because I promise you, like I said, I've been on deployments. Had some transitional things happen. You're a veteran who lived in the Middle East and you come home and it's not the same. And for the first time, I could feel like a breaking. And of course, when you're being broken, it hurts, but the openness finally felt good. It felt good to be open. But the moment he mentioned marriage in his prophetic prayer, I could feel the hardening of my heart. And it was just like, oh, he ain't talking to me. And I promise you, I was like, well, Lord, I still want to be free. I just want to be single. I don't want to go through that. I don't have the energy and the fight in me anymore. And I'm going to end this long story. But he literally, Apostle, I remember him saying, he literally was just like, and there's a woman whose heart has been so broken. Her spirit is so broken, and she is ready to go for God. And the moment I mentioned marriage, that worship dried up, and I rebuke it. And I was just like, who telling my business? I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is my first time in Chicago. You can't put me out there like that, But he was like, and I speak to that brokenness. I speak to that indifference. Honey, called me all the way out. I speak to your indifference. And God said, this time next year. The reason why I tell y'all that is because in the process of my rebellion, trying to worship and still be rebellious and still be proud and tell God what I'm going to do, my husband, I had met him already, and we weren't even dating at the time. I just was like kind of ghosting him because he was nice, but I was like, I ain't got the time. His face flashed before my eyes, and I was like, no, Lord, And I promise you, the reason why I tell you that long story is because the first night of that was January 11th, 2018. We got married January 11th, 2019. Literally the same time, because we had an evening wedding. So all of that long story to tell you, it's funny how you tell God what you want to, but there's a process. I mean, it's so funny, the process of waiting and being molded, that I think in all of the teaching of waiting on God and waiting for the man of God for your life, they never taught me as a little girl that God develops you and you become a wife before you meet the man you're going to marry. So being married doesn't make you a wife. Being prepared does. So I'm done, but I just had to share. I had to give you all the little background. But yeah, that's why I'm here. And it's nice to meet you all. Coach Dave, you got it.
All right, man. I love it. Brother, it's your turn to fall in behind that wave.
Hey, brother. Well, I'm gonna try. Obviously, like I said, my name is Terrell Duckworth, and obviously, I'm one of the. We've been married for 23 years. We're about to be going on 24. So, when we started, it was kind of crazy because as y'all were talking, I was thinking about what I was going to say. So I actually wrote it down. So if you see my eyes shifting, it's because I wrote it down so I keep to time, because I got 23 years of information and we don't have time for that. So anyway, when I first met my wife at the time, I actually said, I got tired of treating women nice. I was like, you know what? Women don't want that. No, y'all see I want that. Y'all don't want the guy with roses. Y'all don't want that. Y'all say y'all want that, but y'all don't want that. I said, I'm going to start treating women bad, because I saw work from my brothers. My brothers treated women bad. They was always having these girls chasing behind them and all that. That's what I thought it was supposed to be. And at the time I was serving, my wife was serving. We had to be at the same base. And she came into the picture before I had made that mantra. So thank God she did, because I would have been nowhere near the church. So he knew what he was doing. He put her in my path. And so the funny thing is, it was crazy, is she actually asked me to marry her. I actually didn't ask her. I wasn't really settled on it. I knew I wanted to get married, but I didn't know I was going to be right then. Because I said, well, two people that don't know where they want to go, how can they help each other get there? For instance, if she said she wanted to be a cop, if I want to be a cop and she didn't want to marry a cop, well, guess what? That relationship would never work. So I wanted to know, what does she want to do in the future in life? Even when I met her father, which I don't have time to go into, when she tricked me into a trip that I took, she tried to get her father to do the same thing. And I told him the same thing. And after that, we talked like two adult men after that. So that didn't work for her. But I did go to Japan. And of course, like a punk, after about 4 months, I gave up on that. Am I fighting? because I was sitting in church when I was all overseas in Japan, and I'm sitting there, and as a pastor talking, I'm looking, seeing her sitting right beside me, and I said, "Man, God dog it, I ain't supposed to get married this soon," because I'm only 19 years old. But because the simple fact that I kept seeing her, and I was like, I wasn't trying to be with anybody else. I was trying to focus on my career. What's the name? Not gonna lie, I wasn't all the way in church. I still had my fun, right? But because I kept going to church and I kept seeing her, I knew there was something about her. So that's when I went back and married her. We were married for 5 years before we had kids. We kind of, I guess, say we made the decision. We did things to prevent that from happening. Because us being married, she was 20, I was 19. Most folks in that position, especially in adding military onto that, you're bound to get divorced. So the likelihood was against us. We even had people tell us, you guys are going to get divorced. They even told us that. Came up to us individually or in together, they told us that. So you can obviously see the forces is definitely trying to fight against us. I spent a lot of time going a lot of different places throughout my career. And some people could say that hurt, but it helped. But they say that this makes the heart grow fonder. Well, it definitely tests your heart. So if you know that you can survive, then guess what? It helped us. And one reason why I love the fact that we went overseas when we first got started, because we were forced to deal with each other. She can't run to her mom. I couldn't run to my brothers and my dad to go get in our conversation, because that's usually what helps with a divorce, right? Because everybody's in your ear. We were forced to deal with each other because it's different time zones. You had no choice but to talk to each other. Either talk to each other or you're going to get separated anyway. So anyway, as we moved on throughout our career, one of the major things that we went through a lot of ups and downs, where just like every marriage, dealing with finances, for me, understanding how to treat a woman. Now, when I say that, I don't mean in a big sense. I mean in a small sense. Perfect example, I'll give 3 quick examples. One, just because a woman is trying to tell you her problems doesn't mean she wants you to solve her problems. I had to learn that the hard way. The second one was allowing your mate to move and do what they need to do. Give them that space. And then the last one is every argument is not worth it. And I didn't learn that in the beginning. And one of the major things that when somebody asks me advice, one of the things I know these coaches are already going to say it, so I'm going to say it anyway, is that when it comes down to it, if you want your mate to do something, it can't come from you. I don't mean sweeping the hallway. I don't mean washing the car. I mean honey-do list. I'm talking about really want somebody to do something. Go find somebody else. You got your best interest at heart. Be careful of that, right? Our coaches will talk about that. You got your best interest at heart to have your spouse to be taught to them. Because the reason why, they know you. They know exactly who you are. They know that you're just the same guy that didn't even clean his plate, that don't even clean his room, that don't do this. Why are you giving me advice? So I learned that early on in our relationship. And I'll leave with this on as I close. There's so many things I can go over. And there's a reason why I'm going over this last, because it definitely hits home. But we went through a horrible auto accident. And this auto accident literally threw my wife from the vehicle. Our twins that we have, they were in the back seat. We literally had just turned them facing forward. And the first thing I remember when our car had crashed was the glass coming from the back, coming towards the front of the vehicle. But I knew I couldn't hear my wife. I remember hearing her voice initially, but I couldn't hear her. So without going through the depths of this story, and y'all try to give me that ESPN cry, let me say with this end. One of the persons that picked us up, who just happened to be a tow truck driver, who happened to be a minister, he said, you guys are blessed. He said, most folks that get thrown from a vehicle don't survive the rollover. They either don't survive the impact or they get thrown in traffic. Not one of those 3 things happened with my wife. Now, I don't know how that happened, but he said, there's something that God has a mission for you guys to do. We don't know exactly fully what it is yet. We're still listening to God. I know we're knuckleheads, but the bottom line is, he said, there's a reason why he still has you here telling this story. Figure out what your mission is, and that's what we need to do. And I turn the call back over to you, Dave.
My, what a great group of panelists. What great stories and what great way to get us started. Thank you guys so very much. And here's what I like to do, because I heard a lot of common theming about the experiences and learning from trial and error and trusting God. So now I'm a big movie guy. I'm a big movie person. So one movie that comes to mind as I lead into the next question is this: Back to the Future. I'm assuming everybody's seen that movie, Back to the Future, right? Okay, good. Yeah, I can tell by the way you laugh and you've seen it. All right. So if you've seen Back to the Future, you know the whole premise of the movie. But let's just say you could go back to your early self at 20 years old. You could go back when you were 20 years old. What would you say to your 20-year-old self right now about life, relationship, what God is going to do? What advice would you give your 20-year-old self? So, ladies, we want you to kick us off first.
I'll just jump in real quick because it's funny you say that. I actually self-published my first book last summer, and it's called "To Me with Love: Memoirs of a Broken Little Girl." And every chapter, it's like a journal entry. It's a letter to a former self. And so I love that question because I've hit a point and I was like, man, I wish someone who had the answers, who had been through this already, who lived it, um, could give me a heads up all of this was happening. And I was like, hey, I wish I had me, now back then. And if when I was 20, oh boy, I just imagined I was in love. I was with a person who everyone told me I was supposed to be with. Like, at 20 and 19 years old, they told us this is who God has for you. It was toxic as ever, but that's who God had. You know what I mean? I didn't know until I got in my 30s that God ain't toxic. But anyway, so I would tell myself to seek God, to really just get in the face of God for myself, develop the ability to hear Him for myself and not be so consumed with what everyone else was saying, because there's a difference between having honor for the people over, the spiritual people, the leaders in your life at the time. There's a difference between having that honor and then solely just being blind to what God is trying to do in you personally, one on one. And yeah, so at 20, that's what I would say.
I agree with, with Reva. I would definitely tell myself to listen to me the first time, because when you're 20, we seek, and mainly being in church, we want to talk, we want to listen to our leaders because they're older and they have experience. But I would actually tell myself, listen to yourself, and that you're going to be okay, that everything that happened to you didn't happen to you for you, but for somebody else. And to be okay with learning from the mistakes, not letting everybody beat you down over the mistakes, because it's a learning process, and that you're going to be okay. But to trust my own discernment, because I got married young in my 20s, and I heard God tell me, but I didn't know that was God. So I would tell myself, that's God talking to you now. That voice that's telling you no, that's the Lord. That ain't, you don't need to second guess that. That's God, and listen to Him the first time.
Okay. Can I go?
Go ahead.
I'll say I would tell my younger self to allow God to do the perfecting within me. There was a lot of things that, because of childhood trauma and stuff like that, that I didn't realize really until now that it affected me. And so just really just submitting to God and letting God do that. And whether that's through counseling, whether it's through therapy, whatever that looks like, but just really allowing God to perfect me and heal me from the inside out. And then also just take my time and live, I mean, and not that marriage is a bad thing, because I believe marriage is a beautiful thing. I desire to be married again and that kind of thing, but it's a whole other another life that you live once you're married. And so even now, like I never had any intentions of being a single mom, and I tell people that all the time. I'm an advocate for marriage if it's done the right way, if it's done God's way. And so it can be a struggle, like now for my situation. Now I'm a single mom, it didn't start out that way or whatever. So just really allowing God to do do the perfecting in me, and to just enjoy being where I am in the moment and not rushing it. Because, and especially now, this generation, like everything is just like, you want it quick, you want it fast, you want it, without any struggle, without any process. And I've learned that it's there's beauty in the process of things. I much rather my home baked macaroni and cheese than stove top any day. It takes a little longer, it costs a little bit more money, but the end result is delicious. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my advice to my younger self.
I'll go next. I'll be quick. For me, it's trusting your gifts, trusting your insight. I used to doubt it so much of the things that came to me, and I didn't know where it was coming from. I didn't know why I was thinking it, um, but I never followed it. And I was like one leg in, one leg out, and that's basically I should have just trusted my insight because I knew it would have carried a lot further along, and then create a habit of reading. Remember a gentleman told me, he said, "You got great insight, but if you want to get to your point a little faster, you might want to, pick up a couple books and learn a couple things. You can actually have a lot more people follow you a lot more faster." So I definitely believe that was for me. So that's my input, and I'll turn over to the next panelist.
Tony, that would be you, I think. Did we go to Tony already?
Oh, it's this Tony. Good.
Okay, I was making sure.
All right. I'm sorry, I was on mute, right?
Just trying to think what we're talking about.
Um,
Yes. Talking about back to the past.
um, that would probably be simple. It would probably be uh, no regrets and build. Don't be afraid to build strong foundations and start from there. Um, I think we make a lot of decisions based off of fear, um, and like I said before, immaturity. So I would just tell myself to have no regrets, and you eat an elephant one bite at a time. You don't have to have everything right. That microwave mentality. If you build a strong foundation, uh, you're bound to succeed.
Wow.
That's a word.
Yes. Okay, Casey, you still there? Okay. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's ask a different question from a different perspective to our panelists. You guys are engaged in two of the most high energy, high level activities. You're either a parent or you're married or you're in a relationship and you're an entrepreneur. You got a business. You got a couple of things going on the side. How do you find the ways? What's the mixture to keep your entrepreneur spirit going, but also to keep your relationship hot? All
I'll
right,
go
Tony,
ahead.
since you were the last one, we're going to fire you up first. Tony, are you muted?
I think we just lost Tony.
All right, then. All right. Well, Terrell, since you're talking, go ahead, my brother.
Woo, man! This is where the part where I talked about our marriage took dips. When I first got started with doing this, I did it the wrong way. So anybody that starts to decide to get involved with being an entrepreneur and being married, um, let your spouse know ahead of time what you're trying to do. Create a calendar, block out time for your spouse. Like just last month, because we had so much activity, a lot of things going on. I told the ladies of the house, y'all go get your nails and toes did. Me and my son, we went and did his father and son stuff. You got to do it. I'm just telling you. Because here's the deal. The one thing I was messing up was when I first got started in my business, I was making the money, but I was putting money towards the bills and I was putting money back in the business. But all she saw was I was putting money towards the bills. I'm talking to other people. So because I wasn't showing her money, even though she could see the money coming in, because I wasn't really elevated, the money was coming in and doing things with her. She thought I was focusing on the business. She came to a point where after 2 years getting involved in business, she said either Legal Shield or your family. You make a choice. And we was actually leaving to go to Alaska, so I chose obviously my family. But when I got back started, I said, "Baby, if I start, I'm not stopping this time, and I will do it the right time, right way this time." So the bottom line is, schedule your honey-do time, and not just for you, for your kids. Even if you got to say, "Hey, look, kids, when I get this, we'll go to Disney World." Keep your promises, and I'll turn the call back over to you.
All right. All right. So who's next?
I'll go. I definitely agree with Terrell. Me being a full-time teacher, full-time student, entrepreneur, and a mom, and a soon-to-be grandma, and in ministry, I've learned to plan out, and then, first of all, learning to say no, and saying no without an explanation. Because when people find out that you are good at a lot of things, they're always pulling on you, and definitely if you're in ministry. But you have to set out time, not just for yourself, like Terrell was saying. You have to set out time for yourself, your kids, your work, your business, your own training for your business, and if you're in school, and then don't let anybody pull on that time. Don't let anybody get you from, and staying true to your own scheduling. And for me, what I had to do was I had to go old school, because I used to have a planner. I pull out my planner that I have, an actual hand planner. I write everything down. I schedule stuff. I have online planner, and if it's not in my schedule, it don't get done. And if it's to the point where, and there's sometimes, you'll go 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 go, which is fine, but to take that time to set aside mainly just for yourself, to have a sabbatical for yourself, me time for yourself, time for your kids, and like Tori was saying, keep the promises, and then learning how to, because I love to support, but learning I can't support everything all the time, because you have some people that will pull on you, and you showing up, it always encourages in them. But if supporting you all the time is draining me, I can't support you. And if helping you all the time is hurting me, I can't help you. But to stick with a schedule, and don't be scared to go on vacation and say and when you on vacation, like most folks say, you on break, you don't do nothing on break. You go on vacation, shut everything down. And everybody's emergency ain't your emergency.
All right. All right. Tony, speak to us.
All right. What am I speaking to is?
Sure, sure. As a entrepreneur and as a man who has relationships, either with someone that you're in love with, or children, or married to, how do you balance that mixture of, when am I entrepreneur, when am I dad, or when am I husband or lover, whatever? How do you find the balance so you can keep all those things in check?
Wow. Man, I've been doing this for years, and that's probably one of the best questions I could have been asked. Because that's what goes through my mind a lot. I mean, that's all. God, oh, y'all got to excuse me. My mind is a little off. My daughter just called me with an emergency, and I come back and I get probably the best question I didn't ever had from a panel discussion. I will say, what goes through my mind all the time is this right here. It's kind of like what I said earlier. Right now in my single life, I'm able to serve and help as many people for God as I can. I recognize that when I get married, I have to balance that with my mate, right? And so the flip side of that is when I was in the streets, I went hard, right? And so I wouldn't be doing God due diligence if I got in as a Christian if I went half speed. So one thing that helps me stay out of trouble, and because of, the saying is, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. I stay busy. A lot of people be like, "You busy? You do all this and that." I have to keep my mind occupied, and you have to. I'm gonna mess the scripture up, but you have to work while there is time. You know what I'm saying? Because there'll be a time when you can't harvest, you can't work. You know what I'm saying? And so that's on my mind so much. And nobody's ever asked me that question. It's like, I recognize that church is important, but it's a balance. I recognize that good eating is good, but I know I'm not going to I'm not going to cut Pepsi out for the rest of my life. I'm not going to cut sugar out for the rest of life. So it's balance. And so without anybody telling me, I eat like I want to, but then I know the mature part of me says, you need a salad. You're eating this, but you need some greens with this. And so everything in life, when you think about it, it's a balance. And God designed us like that. You know what I'm saying? To where even doing his will, Jesus was like, it's not my time yet. Remember that? There's a balance to everything. And I learned this a while back. I thought there was a scripture that said, what was it? You can earthly minded and no good or something like that. I can't remember what the saying is, but it's not a true scripture. But you can't be so spiritual that you can't reach or handle business as usual. Like if somebody says, "Hey man, I'm thinking about leaving my wife." Well, thus saith the Lord, thou shalt not. You know what I'm saying? I mean, right there. Even doing community ministry, when we go into the streets, we don't tell people about Jesus. We're coming there, we feeding you, we playing sport, we playing music, we doing all that stuff. We don't mention Jesus. It's about relationship, right? And so that's the balance. Like we bring relationship to you to let you know we honestly, genuinely care. We don't want no cameras here. We just want to come and bless you, and we don't want anything from you. Now, as they see you and see your fruit, then they're going to come to you. Like I don't go on my job and tell people I'm a Christian, but as they see your fruit and see that you're not messy and see that you seem to be at peace, you ain't got a lot of drama with you, they'll come to you and be like, "Hey, would you pray for me?" Or they'll start talking to you about something. And like I said, God dealt with me on not judging. And some people, they apprehend me. I'm like, look, you can talk to me about anything. And so it's balanced. Like I can have fun, but then there's time when God wants you to work. And like I tell people, everybody says they a soldier in the army of the Lord, but we got some military people on here, and y'all know we don't just fight wars when it's 70 degrees. We don't just fight wars between 8 to 5. If you've been fighting a war and you've been on post for 15 hours and it's your time to go to sleep and somebody bombs something, guess what? You don't get to go sleep and say, "I ain't slept in the day and a half." You got to get up, get dressed, and go back and fight. And so it's discipline. You know what I'm saying? And so that discipline paves the foundation for balance. And when you get a balanced life, it's one thing that you said earlier, that you've been dating your wife the whole time. That's balance. You know what I'm saying? So many marriages don't understand that. Like the same thing you did to get them, you got to keep that same energy, that same newness there. And as you keep that there, and that's where balance comes from, because if you keep doing the same thing over and over, it's mundane, right? You get bored with it. And so as you begin to date and say, "Okay, well, we'll do something different as a date, but we're going to date. We're going to do these things." And it's foundational and it's balancing. And those two things go hand in hand. And I appreciate the question. Wow.
All right, all right. Ladies.
That was rich. Now, I just wanted to say that was rich, Tony. That right there was loaded. You said, you can't be doing the, you're going to be doing the same things. I wanted to chime in when you say the same thing you did to get them, you got to do that to keep them. Now, listen, Don't y'all get that twisted now. If you got them wrong, better get your life. That's another sermon now. I ain't gonna do that to y'all, but y'all know who I'm talking to out there. So if you got them wrong, you better right your wrong, get your life now. But come on, about to make me push up my glasses I'm not wearing right now.
Absolutely.
But if you know you got them right, if you know that this is a divine connection and you know, like you want to keep that thing going, I said it in the chat, spice that thing right on up. You can do the same thing, just a different way. You don't have to go to the same date spot that you went to when y'all first got together 20 years ago. Or even if you do go to the same spot, you better have the manager, because he ought to know you by now. You better have a manager hook y'all up with a little something. Hey man, you know we coming back again after 20 years. Give us a little something extra. Put a new dessert on the menu just for us. We loyal. Okay? You better spice it up. That's what's going to keep that balance going. I am all for balance and being kind. I mean, I'm a yoga instructor as well. I love yoga. I am all for being kind to myself, right? And being kind to others. So when you're trying to create that balance in life, you have to remember to be kind to you. Trying to create that balance with your career, with your marriage, with the entrepreneurship. You have to be kind. That means give yourself grace. If you happen to have forgotten, like, oh man, like it's our anniversary and I didn't order things that I said I was going to order, have it in place and do this and do that. Don't be hard on yourself. Get yourself together, gather yourself, and fix the problem. No need in just mauling over something and just being so hard. Okay, you forgot, you're human, but get yourself together. Give yourself grace. Be kind to yourself and keep it moving. All right. Go ahead, Tamara, take it away. You can answer the question.
You're fine, thank you. I was gonna say I'm honestly still learning the balance, just being transparent. What helps me though, my daughter's in school, so I try to get as much done as I can while she's in school. And so yeah, so that, like I said, that I'm still learning how to balance everything. Like even now, y'all, and excuse me, I'm having technical difficulties, and my sitter bailed on me literally the last minute, so it just kind of threw my like everything off for me tonight. So I was like trying to rush, get ready, and get on. So it's just stuff like that. So I'm honestly still learning the balance. But one thing that helps is like certain things that maybe she can help me with. Is she's almost 5, so if it's something she can help me with, and she's very adamant, she likes to be hands on with stuff, then I'll let her, well, you can put this here, you can do that, whatever. Or I'll let her look at a video or something and say, what do you think about this? To try to get her involved, and try to spend that time with her. And then as far as my friend, my significant other, the good thing about it is we're both entrepreneurs. So we actually talk a lot about stuff, and we're able to, bounce ideas off of each other. He's a life coach, and so it helps to, talk to him about certain things and stuff like that. So I'm not married yet, but that's how I kind of find the balance there, even as it pertains to my friend. So yeah.
Cool.
That is really, really good. I find that when you say you involve her, when you want to put them busy babies to work, put them busy babies to work. Listen, I understand. No, I overstand you. I have 4 of them. Okay, ranging from age 12 to 16. They want something to do? All right, listen here. I got some emails. I got some posts. I got this. I got that. Let me go ahead and involve you. So while you taking care of that, I can be taking care and cloning myself, doing other things. Okay. But involving her helps that balance. Like you're working together. You're not ignoring her. You're including her. So I just think that's phenomenal. I think that is a great parenting move right there. It's definitely going to help you out. And as they get older, you give them more work, and then don't even let me talk about the tax benefits, because you can employ them and have them make about $6,000 a year. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna charge out for that workshop.
Lit, son.
Hey, say it one more time. Say it one more time. Okay, drop that nugget on them. Drop that nugget on them.
Employ them babies. Employ them
Right
babies.
on.
They can make up to about $6,000 a year now. Employ them babies and get the tax benefit under your business now. Okay, so I have a question. I have a question for our panelists. So I'm all about confidence as a coach and, vibes, right? I always talk about vibrating high. That means whatever you giving off, right? What I want to know from you all, those of you that are dating, single, married, whatever, what are you exuding? What are you giving off? If you are on the market, right? Looking, not looking, waiting, stirring pots, prepping your meal for the table that you bringing. While you're doing that, what are you giving off? Because the reason why I'm asking this question is because I do have a friend that is single and keeps saying, I want to get married, but there is in her waiting, there's nothing that she's doing. There's nothing. You work, you got a career, you got it together, financially stable, all of that. But how you getting him and you in the house on your couch all the time? Do you go to Starbucks? Do you go to Publix? They not sponsoring this, y'all. If y'all want to go ahead on and bless people, go on now, Starbucks and Publix. But listen, are you, y'all know I'm gonna cut up. Are you going out there? You on the market? What you looking like when you go out there? What are you giving off? Because if you mean mugging when you go out your door, ain't nobody trying to talk to you. So what are you giving off if you are actually saying, I'm on the market or I'm ready? What exactly are you exuding to the people that may be looking?
I can't wait to hear the women answer on this one.
Listen,
Yes, ladies
we
first.
need to take this to a whole different level. First of all, we as women have to realize that, and I think Tony or one of the guys said it before you even become a wife, you already a wife. So you need to walk around and carry yourself like you a wife and look like a wife at all times and act like one at all times. I just had a one-on-one a couple of weeks ago with my apostle, and it was hard because I don't get my face beat all the time. I never grew up wearing makeup. Like my grandmother didn't let me do that. And I don't really know how to do it, but I'm learning. But she said something to us like last year doing a women's thing. She says, "What fragrance are you leaving?" We call it a walk by. Now, ladies, how many times have you smelled a man before you saw the man? And he done walked all the way by. And you get that in your nostrils, and you be like, Lord, come on, take Jesus, you gotta help me.
That's
Like, Lord, you gotta help me. Because I know what I smell. But it's our senses. Also, it's how he looks and carries himself. So it's what you exude out in everyday conversation everywhere you go. Because the saying is, you never know when you entertaining an angel. You never know when you entertaining your husband, your wife bae, your boo bae, whatever it is. But you still, like Ruth was working. And she was smelling good while she was working. She was working hard, but she didn't smell like she was working.
Just, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So to piggyback on something you said, like when you say you come out and I don't, I guess y'all say y'all faces beat or whatever. One thing I found in the past is that's hurt some marriages is women, while they're available or in the session of seeking a mate, they do those type of things, and then what happens after marriage is, from some of the guys I hear, is they let themselves fall off, or they don't take as much care. Now, don't all the women beat up on me. I'm just telling you what the true statements is. And so can we talk about that? Because it's almost like, I'm not going to say it's trickery. Y'all gonna have to help me with the word because my mind is a little blank right now. But
you trying to say switch and bait? Bait switch?
Yeah.
It's called false representation. It's called.
I got everybody riled up. I'm sorry.
I need some popcorn. Hold on, let me go get some popcorn for your answer. Hold on.
Let me go get me some tea. Hold
on. It's actually called false representation.
Okay.
Women, we want men to continue to do whatever you did or was doing to get me. we want them to keep on doing to keep us. But we fail to realize that the stuff we were doing to attract him or to get him, we can't fall off of, we can't fall off too. Now I
You gotta
understand